The darkness of space stretched endlessly in all directions. Among the countless stars, a sleek alien ship moved silently through the void. The vessel looked like a giant silver blade cutting through the blackness. Its name was Nexus Prime, and it belonged to the Velkan Empire. Commander Vexitar stood on the bridge of his ship. He was tall and thin, with blue-gray skin that seemed to shimmer under the bridge lights. His large, dark eyes scanned the displays around him. Vexitar had been hunting through space for many days now. His mission was simple: find and study any unknown ships that entered the star system. The Velkans were proud of their technology. They believed they had the best scanners and sensors in the galaxy. No ship could hide from them. No alien species could keep secrets from their powerful scanning beams. This confidence had served them well for thousands of years. "Commander," called Lieutenant Kremoth from his station. The young Velkan's voice carried excitement. "I have something on the long-range sensors. There is a ship approaching our position." Vexitar walked over to look at the display. A small dot moved slowly across the screen. The readings showed it was still far away, but getting closer. "What can you tell me about it?" Kremoth touched several buttons on his control panel. More information appeared on the screen. "The ship design is not in our database. The energy signature is also unknown. But Commander, I think I know what species built it." "Tell me," Vexitar said. "The ship matches the basic design patterns we have seen from the humans. The species that only discovered space travel 50 of their years ago." Vexitar felt a mix of curiosity and amusement. Humans were new to space. The Velkan intelligence reports said they were primitive. They used simple rockets to leave their home planet. They had basic computers and crude weapons. Most alien species in the galaxy barely considered humans worth notice. "Interesting," Vexitar said. "What would humans be doing in this system?" "This area is far from their homeworld." The bridge crew gathered around to look at the readings. Chief Science Officer Nalketh joined them. She was older than the others, with deep lines around her eyes from years of studying alien technologies. Her knowledge was vast, and Vexitar trusted her judgment. "Perhaps they are exploring," Nalketh suggested. "New species often send scouts to map nearby systems. They probably do not know this is disputed territory." The Kepler 442 system had been claimed by 3 different alien empires. None of them wanted to start a war over it, but none wanted to give up their claim either. Human ships had no business being here. Far across the empty space between them, the human ship continued on its path. The vessel was called Soul's Pride. It looked nothing like the elegant Velkan ship. Where the Nexus Prime was smooth and curved, the human ship was angular and rough. Gray metal plates covered its hull. Weapon ports lined its sides. It looked like it was built for war, not exploration. Captain Hyunsik sat in his command chair on the bridge of Soul's Pride. He was a man in his 40s with short black hair and calm, steady eyes. He had been in space for many years, and he knew how to handle dangerous situations. "Status report," Hyunsik said to his crew. First Officer Bora looked up from her station. She was younger than the captain, with long black hair tied back in a neat bun. Her fingers moved quickly over her controls as she checked their systems. "All systems are running normally, Captain. We are on course for the outer planets of this system. No problems detected," Chief Engineer Taemin called out from his position. He was a stocky man with oil stains on his uniform from working in the engine rooms. "Power levels are stable. The fusion reactor is operating within normal limits. All defensive systems are ready." Weapons Specialist Jiwon sat at her station watching the weapon displays. She was a serious woman who rarely smiled. Her job was to protect the ship and crew from any threats. "Weapon systems are powered down but ready for immediate activation if needed." Hyunsik nodded. This was a routine patrol mission. Earth Defense Force had sent them to explore this system and report back on what they found. The mission should have been simple and boring. Back on the Velkan ship, Commander Vexitar made his decision. "Move us closer to the human vessel, but keep our distance. I want to scan their ship without them knowing we are here." The Nexus Prime changed course. Its powerful engines made no sound in the vacuum of space. The ship moved like a hunting animal stalking its prey. The Velkans were experts at staying hidden while they studied other species. "How close do you want to get?" asked Kremoth. "Close enough for a full tactical scan," Vexitar replied. "I want to know everything about that ship. What weapons they have, how many crew members, what their technology level really is. The humans may be primitive, but we should not take any chances." Nalketh prepared her scanning equipment. The Velkin scanners were incredibly advanced. They could look through the hull of any ship and see what was inside. They could count the crew, identify the weapons, and even detect what the aliens had eaten for their last meal. "Scanners are ready, Commander," Nalketh reported. "We can begin deep scanning as soon as we are in range." The two ships moved closer to each other through the cold darkness of space. Neither crew knew what they would discover in the next few minutes. The Velkins expected to find a simple, primitive human vessel with basic technology. The humans had no idea they were being watched by one of the most advanced species in the galaxy. Vextar studied the human ship through his view screen as they approached. It looked crude compared to Velkin engineering. The hull was thick and heavy. The weapon ports looked like simple projectile launchers. Everything about it seemed old-fashioned and basic. "Begin the scan," Vextar ordered. Invisible beams of energy shot out from the Nexus Prime. They touched the human ship and began to probe its structure. The scanning beams could pass through metal, plastic, and any other material. Nothing could hide from Velkin sensors. On the human ship, Engineer Taman noticed something unusual on his displays. "Captain, I am detecting scan beams hitting our hull. Someone is trying to look inside our ship." Hyunsik remained calm. "Can you identify the source?" "The beams are coming from a ship about 20,000 kilometers away. The scanning pattern matches Velkin technology." Bora looked up from her station. "Orders, sir?" Hyunsik thought for a moment. "Let them scan us. Do not raise shields or power weapons yet. I want to see what they do with the information they gather." The captain's decision surprised some of his crew, but they trusted his judgment. They continued on their course as if nothing had happened. Back on the Velkin ship, the first scan results appeared on the displays. Nalketh studied the readings with interest. What she saw was exactly what she expected from a primitive human vessel. "Initial scan complete," she reported to Commander Vextar. "The ship appears to have a basic fusion reactor for power. I detect simple projectile weapons and electromagnetic shielding. The crew numbers approximately 200 humans. Everything appears normal for their technology level." Vextar nodded. This matched what their intelligence reports had told them about human capabilities, but something made him want to look deeper. "Run a complete tactical analysis," he ordered. "I want to know everything about that ship before we decide what to do next." The scanning beams from the Nexus Prime grew stronger. They pushed deeper into the human ship, trying to reveal all its secrets. Chief Science Officer Nalketh watched her displays with growing confusion. The reading she was getting made no sense. "Commander Vextar," she called out, her voice filled with uncertainty. "I am getting very strange results from our deep scan." Vextar walked over to her station. "What kind of strange results?" Nalketh pointed at her screen. Numbers and symbols flashed across it in patterns that seemed impossible. "The ship's power output is reading as 0, sir. Complete 0. 0? Vextar stared at the display. "That cannot be right. No ship can function without power. Check your equipment." Nalketh ran diagnostics on her scanning systems. Everything checked out perfectly. The scanners were working fine. "All systems are operating normally, Commander, but the human ship shows no detectable power generation." Lieutenant Kremoth looked up from his station. "Perhaps their reactor is offline. Maybe they are drifting through space." "No." Nalketh shook her head. "The ship is moving under its own power. I can detect engine emissions. Their lights are on. Their life support is running. But somehow our scanners cannot detect where the power is coming from." This was impossible. Velkin scanners could detect the smallest energy sources. They could find a single battery hidden inside a cargo container. They had never failed to locate a ship's power source before. On the human ship Soul's Pride, Engineer Tae-min monitored the alien scanning attempts from his engineering station. His screen showed the invisible beams trying to penetrate their hull. The beams were getting stronger and more focused. "Captain," Tae-min reported to Hyunsik, "the Velkin ship is increasing scan intensity. They are really trying hard to see inside our ship now." Captain Hyunsik remained calm in his command chair. "How are our quantum dampeners holding up?" "Working perfectly, sir. The dampening field is hiding our true power signatures. To their scanners, we look like we are running on a simple fusion reactor." First Officer Bora smiled slightly. "Should we give them a better look, Captain?" They seem frustrated. "Not yet," Hyunsik replied. "Let them work for it. I want to see how good their technology really is." The quantum dampeners were one of humanity's most closely guarded secrets. They could hide the true nature of any technology from alien scanners. The field made advanced human systems look like simple, primitive equipment. Back on the Velkin ship, the confusion was growing worse. Nalketh ran scan after scan, but the results remained the same. The human ship appeared to be operating without any detectable power source. This is not possible, she muttered to herself. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It has to come from somewhere. Commander Vexitar was beginning to feel concerned. In all his years of space travel, he had never encountered anything like this. The Velkins prided themselves on understanding all forms of technology in the galaxy, but these humans seemed to be breaking the basic laws of physics. Run a bioscan, Vexitar ordered. Maybe the problem is not with their ship. Maybe the problem is with the crew. Nalketh adjusted her scanners to focus on the life forms aboard the human vessel. What she found made her even more confused. Commander, the human biosignatures are unusual. Unusual how? Their brain activity is much higher than normal for their species. I am detecting enhanced neural pathways and improved reflexes. It is like they have been artificially enhanced somehow. Vexitar studied the bioscan results. The humans aboard that ship were not normal. Their bodies showed signs of technological modification. Their reaction times were faster than any natural human should be able to achieve. Are they cyborgs? Asked Kremoth partially. Nalketh replied. I am detecting microscopic technology integrated into their cellular structure. But it is unlike anything in our databases. This discovery made Vexitar even more suspicious. According to their intelligence reports, humans had barely developed basic computers. They should not have the technology to enhance their own bodies at the cellular level. On Soul's Pride, weapons specialist Ji-Wan noticed the change in the alien scanning pattern. Captain, they have switched to biological scans. They are studying our crew now. Let them, Hyunsik said calmly. The biodampeners will hide most of our enhancements. Ji-Wan nodded. Like all the crew members, she had undergone extensive biological modifications. Her reflexes were 10 times faster than a normal human. Her brain could process information at incredible speeds. Her body could survive in environments that would kill an unmodified person in seconds. But the biodampeners made all these enhancements invisible to most alien scanners. To the Velkins, the crew would look almost normal. Almost, but not quite. Taman called out from his station. Captain, their scans are getting more intense. The quantum dampeners are starting to show strain. If they keep pushing this hard, they might break through our masking. How much time do we have? Bora asked. At this rate, maybe 10 minutes before they start seeing through our defenses. Hyunsik considered their options. They could continue to let the aliens scan them, but eventually the dampeners would fail. They could flee, but that might start a conflict. Or they could reveal just enough to satisfy the aliens' curiosity without showing them everything. Prepare to drop the dampening field to 60%. Hyunsik decided. Let them see a little more, but not everything. Yes, sir, Taman replied, adjusting his controls. On the Velkin ship, Nalketh suddenly got new readings from her scanners. Commander, I am detecting additional power sources on the human ship. Multiple fusion reactors are coming online. Vexitar looked at the new data. The human ship now showed 3 separate fusion reactors instead of 1. This was still primitive technology by Velkin standards, but it was more than they had expected. Why would they need so much power? Kremoth wondered. Maybe they are preparing for battle, suggested another crew member. But Nalketh shook her head. No, these reactors have been running all along. Our scanners just could not detect them before. Something was hiding them from us. This was a disturbing thought. If humans had technology that could hide things from Velkin scanners, they were more advanced than anyone had believed. Keep scanning, Vexitar ordered. I want to know what else they might be hiding. The scanning beams grew even more powerful. They probed every section of the human ship looking for more hidden systems. And they found them. Commander, Nalketh reported with growing alarm, I am detecting weapon systems that were not there before. Energy signatures are appearing throughout the ship. The human vessel was slowly revealing itself to be much more dangerous than it had first appeared. Hidden weapon ports became visible. Energy conduits that had been masked now showed up on the scans. The ship was transforming before their eyes from a simple exploration vessel into something much more threatening. How many weapons are we looking at? Vexitar asked. Nalketh studied her displays. I count at least 40 weapon emplacements. Energy weapons, projectile systems, and something else I cannot identify. Something else? The energy patterns are unlike anything in our database, Commander. I have never seen weapons that generate signatures like this. Vextar felt a chill run through his body. His simple observation mission had turned into something much more serious. The humans were not the primitive species everyone had thought. They had technology that could fool Velkin scanners. They had weapons that Velkin science could not identify. Most disturbing of all, they had been hiding all of this deliberately. They had let the Velkins scan them while revealing only what they wanted the aliens to see. "Sir," Kramath called out from his station, "the human ship is changing course. They are turning toward us." Through the view screen, Vextar could see the human warship rotating slowly in space. Its weapon ports were now pointing directly at the Nexus Prime. The message was clear. The humans knew they were being watched, and they were ready to fight if necessary. "What are your orders, Commander?" asked Nalketh. Vextar stared at the human ship, trying to decide what to do next. Everything he thought he knew about humans had just been proven wrong. They were not primitive. They were not harmless. And they definitely were not defenseless. The question was, what else were they hiding? Commander Vextar stared at the human warship on his view screen. The vessel had turned to face them directly, its weapon ports gleaming in the starlight. This was not the behavior of a primitive species. This was the action of someone who knew exactly what they were doing. "Commander," Lieutenant Kramath said nervously, "should we withdraw to a safe distance?" Vextar considered the option. The smart thing would be to retreat and call for reinforcements. But his curiosity was stronger than his fear. These humans had fooled the entire galaxy into thinking they were harmless. He needed to know how they had done it. "No," he decided. "Continue scanning. Use the most powerful beams we have. I want to see everything they are hiding." Chief Science Officer Nalketh looked worried. "Sir, if we use maximum scanning power, they will definitely know we are here." "They already know," Vextar replied grimly. "Look at how they have positioned their ship. They are watching us just as closely as we are watching them." Nalketh reluctantly adjusted her controls. The scanning arrays on the Nexus Prime charged to full power. Energy levels throughout the ship increased as massive amounts of power flowed to the sensors. This level of scanning could penetrate the heaviest armor and see through the most advanced shielding. The invisible beams struck the human ship with incredible force. They pushed past the outer hull and dove deep into the vessel's interior. For the first time, the Velkins got a clear look at what the humans had been hiding. What they saw made them freeze in terror. "By the void," Nalketh whispered. "What is this?" The inside of the human ship was nothing like what they had expected. Instead of simple corridors and basic equipment, they found a maze of advanced technology. Energy conduits ran through every wall, carrying power in ways the Velkins had never seen before. "These energy patterns," Nalketh said, her voice shaking. "They are using principles we do not understand. The power flow defies our knowledge of physics. But the power systems were only the beginning. As the scans went deeper, they revealed weapons that should not have existed. Energy cannons that could bend space itself. Projectile launchers that fired rounds at near light speed. Defensive systems that seemed to manipulate time. "Commander," Nalketh reported, her face pale with shock, "I am detecting weapons technology from multiple alien species. Zephyrian plasma cores, Altarian neural targeting systems, Korthak defensive matrices." Vextar felt his blood turn cold. "That is impossible. Those species are scattered across the galaxy. How could humans have access to all their technologies?" Kramath checked his database. "Sir, according to our records, the Zephyrians went silent 47 years ago. The Altarians stopped all communication 32 years ago. The Korthaks disappeared 21 years ago." The horrible truth began to dawn on the Velkin crew. All those species had vanished right around the time humans had begun exploring space. This could not be a coincidence. On the human ship Soul's Pride, Engineer Taman watched his displays with concern. "Captain, they have increased scan intensity to maximum. The quantum dampeners cannot hide us anymore." Captain Hyun-sik had expected this moment would come. "Drop all dampening field. Let them see what they want to see." "All of it, sir?" Bora asked. "All of it." Taman shut down the quantum dampeners completely. Instantly, the true nature of Soul's Pride became visible to the Velkin scanners. The ship that had appeared crude and primitive moments before now revealed itself as one of the most advanced vessels in the galaxy. The fusion reactors they had detected were just backup power sources. The real power came from a dimensional tap that drew energy from another universe entirely. The simple projectile weapons were decoys. The real armament included reality warpers, quantum disruptors, and gravitational manipulators. Most shocking of all was the ship's construction. The hull was not made of simple metal plates. It was a living material that could repair itself and adapt to any threat. The corridors were filled with nanomachines that could reconfigure the entire ship in minutes. On the Velkin ship, Nalketh stared at her displays in disbelief. The readings were so far beyond anything she had ever seen that her instruments could barely process them. "Commander," she said weakly, "the power output from their main reactor is... I cannot even measure it. It exceeds our scale. What about their weapons?" "Sir, they have technology that can destroy planets. Some of these weapon systems could tear holes in space itself." But the most disturbing discovery was yet to come. As the deep scans revealed more details about the human crew, the Velkins realized that every person on that ship had been extensively modified. "The crew," Nalketh reported with growing horror, "they are not really human anymore. I am detecting nanomachines in their blood. Their brains have been enhanced with artificial neural networks. Their bodies contain technology from dozens of different species." Vextar understood what this meant. Humans had not just been collecting alien technology, they had been integrating it into themselves. Every species they encountered became part of them. Weapons specialist Jiwan spoke into her communicator on the human ship. "Captain, should I target their scanning arrays?" "Not yet," Hyunsik replied. "Let them finish looking. I want them to understand exactly what they are dealing with." The Velkin scans continued to reveal more impossible truths. The humans had technology that allowed them to interface directly with alien computer systems. They could hack into any network and learn everything about a species within hours. They could adapt alien weapons to work with human ships. They could even modify their own bodies to survive in any environment. "How is this possible?" Kremoth asked in a shaking voice. Nalketh had been thinking about the same question. "I think I understand," she said slowly. "Humans are not conquerors. They are adapters. When they meet a new species, they do not try to destroy them. They try to learn from them." "Learn from them?" "Yes. They take the best technology, the best ideas, the best biological features from every species they encounter. Then they integrate everything into their own civilization." This explained why so many alien species had gone silent over the past 50 years. They had not been destroyed by humans. They had been absorbed. Their knowledge, their technology, their very DNA had become part of humanity. "But what happened to the original species?" Kremoth asked. "I think they joined the humans willingly," Nalketh replied. "Look at these readings. The human ship contains not just human crew members. I am detecting Zephyrian biosignatures, Altarian neural patterns, Kortak genetic markers. All those species are still alive. They just became part of something larger." Commander Vextar realized they were not looking at a human ship at all. They were looking at a vessel crewed by representatives of dozens of species, all working together under human leadership. The communication system suddenly crackled to life. A calm human voice spoke in perfect Velkin language. "Velkin Vessel Nexus Prime. This is Captain Hyunsik of the Earth Defense Force ship Soul's Pride. We know you have been scanning us." Vextar grabbed his communicator with a shaking hand. "How do you know our ship's name? How do you speak our language?" "We learned both from your scanning beams," Hyunsik replied calmly. "Your scans carry a lot of information. We have been studying your technology while you studied ours. This was impossible. No species could reverse engineer technology that quickly, but as Nalketh checked her instruments, she confirmed the terrible truth. "Commander," she whispered, "I am detecting microtransmissions from their ship. They have been copying our scanner specifications in real time. They now know everything about our sensor technology." The humans had turned the tables completely, while the Velkins had been trying to learn about human capabilities. The humans had been learning about Velkin technology, and they had learned much faster. "We have a proposition for you, Commander Vextar," the human captain continued. "We would like to invite you aboard our ship for cultural exchange." First Officer Bora added with a slight smile in her voice. "We have already begun integrating Velkin scanning principles into our systems. Your technology would be a valuable addition to our capabilities." The Velkins suddenly understood their true situation. They were not the hunters in this encounter. They were the prey, and the humans had been playing with them from the very beginning. The species that everyone thought was primitive and harmless was actually the most dangerous force in the galaxy. Not because they were violent, but because they never stopped learning and growing stronger. "What do you want from us?" Vextar asked, though he feared he already knew the answer. "We want to learn," Hyunsik replied simply. "We want to understand your technology, your culture, your way of thinking. And in return, we will share everything we have learned from all the other species who have joined us." The invitation was clear: join humanity willingly and become part of something greater, or try to flee and spread the word about what humans really were. Either way, the galaxy would never be the same. The silence on the Velkin bridge was deafening. Commander Vexistar stared at the human ship on his view screen, trying to process what he had just learned. The invitation from Captain Hyunsik hung in the air like a threat wrapped in polite words. "Commander," Lieutenant Kremoth whispered urgently, "we should contact the fleet. The Empire needs to know about this." But Vextar held up his hand for silence. His mind was racing through the implications of what they had discovered. If he called for help, would the Velkin fleet be strong enough to fight these humans? Or would they just be giving humanity access to even more advanced technology? Chief Science Officer Nalketh continued to study her scanner readings. The more she looked, the more disturbing the truth became. "Commander, I need to show you something else. The energy signatures I'm detecting from their ship, some of them match technologies that were thought to be myths." "What do you mean?" Nalketh brought up a new display. "I am reading quantum manipulation devices that can alter reality itself. Time dilation fields that can slow or speed up time. Dimensional gateways that can open holes in space. These are technologies that most species only dream about." Vextar felt a chill run down his spine. "Are you saying humans have mastered technologies that are beyond even our understanding?" "Not just mastered them, sir. They have improved them. The quantum signatures I am seeing are more advanced than anything in our theoretical databases." On the human ship, Captain Hyunsik waited patiently for the Velkin response. He knew the aliens needed time to understand what they were facing. Most species went through the same process when they first encountered humanity's true capabilities. First Officer Bora monitored the Velkin communications. "They are sending encrypted messages to their fleet, Captain." "Should we jam their transmissions?" "No," Hyunsik replied calmly. "Let them call for help if they want. It will not change anything." Engineer Taman looked up from his console. "Captain, I have finished analyzing their scanner technology. It is quite impressive. We could integrate their deep penetration algorithms into our own systems. Already working on it," added weapons specialist Jiwon. "Their targeting systems are also interesting. Very precise. We could improve our own weapon accuracy by at least 12%. This casual conversation would have terrified the Velkins if they could hear it. The humans were discussing stealing and improving Velkin technology as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Back on the Nexus Prime, Nalketh made another disturbing discovery. "Commander, I have been analyzing the human crew more carefully. The modifications to their bodies. They are not all human technology." "Explain." "I can identify biological enhancements from at least 15 different species. Zephyrian muscle fibers for increased strength. Altarian neural pathways for faster thinking. Korthak bone density for better durability. They have taken the best features from every species they have encountered." Vextar studied the bioscan results on her screen. The humans aboard that ship were no longer really human at all. They were something new, something that had never existed before in the galaxy. But how do they integrate so many different biological systems? Kremoth asked. "Different species should not be compatible. Nanomachines," Nalketh replied grimly. "Microscopic robots in their bloodstream that act as translators between different biological systems. They can make any alien enhancement work with human biology." This was perhaps the most frightening discovery yet. It meant that humans could take useful traits from any species they encountered and make those traits part of themselves. They were not just learning from other civilizations. They were becoming them. The communication system crackled again. Captain Hyunsik's voice was still calm and friendly. "Commander Vextar, we understand you may need time to consider our invitation. Perhaps we could start with something smaller." "What do you have in mind?" Vextar asked cautiously. "Information exchange. We could share some of our historical records with you. You might find them interesting." Before Vextar could respond, data began flowing into the Velkin computer systems. The humans were sending them files without waiting for permission. But somehow the data was getting through all of the Velkin security systems. "How are they doing this?" Kremoth demanded, frantically trying to stop the data transfer. They learned how to hack our computers from our scanning beams. Nalketh replied helplessly. Every time we scanned them, we gave them information about our technology. The files that appeared on the Velkin screens told a story that made their worst fears seem small. The humans had not encountered their first alien species 50 years ago, as everyone believed. They had been making contact with alien civilizations for over a century. Look at this, Nalketh said, pulling up one of the files. First contact with the Zephyrian Republic, 93 years ago. The official records say the Zephyrians discovered humans in their territory. But according to this human record, Vextar read from the screen, the humans found the Zephyrians first. They studied Zephyrian culture for 20 years before making contact. More files revealed the same pattern over and over again. Humans would discover a new alien species and spend years learning everything about them. They would study their technology, their biology, their culture, and their weaknesses. Only then would they make official first contact. They have been planning this for a century, Vextar realized with horror. Every contact with every species has been carefully planned and executed. The historical records showed how humans approached each new species differently. With peaceful races, they offered friendship and cooperation. With aggressive species, they demonstrated overwhelming force. With advanced civilizations, they showed technological wonders that made the aliens eager to learn more. In every case, the result was the same. The alien species would agree to join humanity's growing alliance. They would share their technology and knowledge, and eventually they would become part of humanity itself. Look at this record from the Altarian contact, Nalketh said, her voice shaking. The Altarians were the most advanced species in their region. They had technology far beyond what humans possessed at the time. What happened to them? According to this, the humans convinced them that working together would benefit both species. The Altarians shared their neural enhancement technology. In return, humans shared knowledge they had gained from other species. And now? Now there are no more Altarians. But there are humans with Altarian neural enhancements serving on human ships throughout the galaxy. The pattern was clear and terrifying. Humans did not conquer other species through force. They conquered them through seduction. They offered knowledge, friendship, and the promise of becoming part of something greater. And species after species had accepted the offer. Commander, Kremoth said urgently, I am detecting massive energy buildup from the human ship. They are powering weapon systems. On the human ship, G1 had indeed activated the weapon systems, but not to threaten the Velkins. She was preparing to demonstrate human capabilities. Fire a single quantum disruptor pulse into empty space, Hyunsik ordered. Low power setting. Yes, sir. A beam of invisible energy shot out from Soul's Pride into the darkness beyond both ships. Where the beam struck empty space, reality itself seemed to tear open. A hole appeared in the fabric of the universe, showing the swirling chaos of another dimension beyond. The hole lasted for only a few seconds before closing. But it was enough to prove the point. Humans had weapons that could damage the structure of reality itself. On the Velkin ship, the crew watched in stunned silence. Nalketh's instruments barely registered what they had just seen. Commander, that weapon, it created a temporary breach in space-time. The energy requirements for such a thing should be impossible. But they did it, Vextar said quietly. They actually tore a hole in space. Captain Hyunsik's voice came over the communication system again. That was just a small demonstration, Commander. We have much more impressive technology available if you would like to see it. What do you want from us? Vextar asked, though he already knew the answer. The same thing we have wanted from every species we have encountered. Knowledge, understanding, cooperation. And if we refuse? There was a pause. When Hyunsik spoke again, his voice was still calm but somehow more serious. Then you will return to your people and tell them what you have learned here. You will warn them about humanity's true capabilities, and then you will spend the rest of your lives wondering when we will come calling. The threat was clear without being spoken directly. Humans knew where the Velkin Empire was located. They had technology that could break through any defense, and they had the patience to wait until the perfect moment to make their move. However, Hyunsik continued, his voice becoming friendly again, we would much prefer to have you join us willingly. The choice is entirely yours. Vextar looked around at his crew. Fear was written on every face. They had discovered something that changed everything they thought they knew about the galaxy. Humanity was not a new species stumbling around in space. They were the apex predator. and every other species was their prey. The only question was whether the Velkans would become willing partners or unwilling victims. Commander Vextar stood frozen on the bridge of the Nexus Prime. The demonstration of the human reality-tearing weapon had left his crew speechless. In all their years of space exploration, the Velkans had never seen technology that could damage the fabric of the universe itself. Chief Science Officer Nalketh was still studying her instruments, trying to understand what they had just witnessed. Commander, the energy readings from that weapon pulse, they are still affecting local space. The area where they fired shows quantum instabilities that should not exist. How long will the effects last? Vextar asked. According to my calculations, the quantum disturbance could continue for several days, maybe longer. Nalketh paused, looking at her data with growing concern. Sir, I think that was not even close to their maximum power. The weapon was fired at the lowest possible setting. Lieutenant Kremoth checked his tactical displays. If that was their weakest weapon, what must their strongest ones be capable of? The question hung in the air like a death sentence. None of them wanted to find out the answer. On the human ship Soul's Pride, Captain Hyunsik waited patiently for the Velkan response. He had been through this same process with dozens of other species over the years. First came the shock of discovery, then the fear of what humans could do. Finally, the realization that cooperation was the only smart choice. Captain, First Officer Bora reported, I am monitoring increased communications traffic from the Velkan ship. They are sending urgent messages to their homeworld. Let them, Hyunsik replied calmly. The more their people know about us, the easier the eventual negotiations will be. Engineer Taemin looked up from his console. Sir, I have finished the integration of Velkan scanner technology into our systems. Our scanning range has increased by 40%. Excellent work, Hyunsik said. And the targeting improvements? Weapons Specialist Ji-Wan smiled slightly. Weapon accuracy is now 99.7%. The Velkan targeting algorithms are very precise. In less than an hour, the humans had stolen and improved upon technology that had taken the Velkans centuries to develop. This casual efficiency would have horrified the alien crew if they had known about it. Back on the Velkan ship, Nalketh made a discovery that changed everything she thought she knew about humanity. Commander, I have been analyzing the quantum signatures from the human crew more carefully. What I found is impossible. What now? Vextar asked wearily. Every new discovery about the humans seemed worse than the last. The nanomachines in their bloodstream are not just translating between different biological systems. They are creating new ones. The humans are not just taking traits from other species. They are evolving in real time. Vexitar stared at the bioscan results on her screen. The human crew showed genetic markers that had not been there when the scans first started. In the space of a few hours, they had somehow adapted new biological features. How is this possible? The nanomachines can rewrite DNA on command, Nalketh explained. If a human encounters a useful trait in another species, they can integrate it into their own genetics within hours. They are not just learning from other species, they are becoming them. This revelation was more terrifying than any weapon. It meant that humans could adapt to any environment, counter any threat, and overcome any challenge simply by changing themselves to meet it. But there is more, Nalketh continued. I have been analyzing the energy patterns from their quantum systems. Commander, I do not think all the technology on that ship is alien. What do you mean? Some of the quantum signatures match theoretical models that our scientists developed, but could never build. The humans have taken our theories and turned them into working technology. Vextar felt a chill of understanding. They are not just stealing existing technology. They are using our own ideas to create new technology that we never could. Exactly. They take the best thoughts from every species and make them real. No idea is too advanced or too impossible for them to try. The communication system activated again. Captain Hyunsik's voice was as calm as ever. Commander Vextar, we have been monitoring your internal discussions. We hope you are beginning to understand what we offer. You have been listening to our private communications? Vextar demanded. Your scanning beams work both ways, Hyunsik explained patiently. While you were studying us, we learned how to decode your communication protocols. We have been able to understand everything you have said for the past 2 hours. This casual admission of their privacy being violated should have made the Velkans angry. Instead, it just made them more afraid. The humans could break through any security, decode any language, and understand any technology with frightening speed. We want to make you an offer, Hyun-sik continued. Join our alliance willingly, and you will have access to all the knowledge we have gathered from hundreds of species. Your people will become stronger, smarter, and more capable than they have ever been. And if we refuse? Vextar asked. Then you return to your people and tell them the truth about what humanity has become. You warn them that we exist and that we are coming, and then you wait to see what happens next. The threat was clear. Humans had been absorbing alien species for over a century. The Velkan Empire would not be able to stop them if they decided to expand in that direction. Bo-Ra's voice joined the conversation. Commander, we understand your fear. Every species reacts the same way when they first learn the truth about us. But consider this. In all our encounters with alien civilizations, how many have we destroyed? Vextar thought about the historical records the humans had shared. Species after species had joined humanity's alliance, but none of them had been wiped out. They had been absorbed, but they still existed in some form. None, he admitted reluctantly. Exactly, Hyun-sik said. We do not conquer through destruction. We grow through cooperation. Every species that joins us makes all of us stronger. But what happens to our independence, our culture, our way of life? They become part of something larger, Hyun-sik replied. The Zephyrians still exist. They serve on our ships and work in our research centers. The Altarians continue their studies, but now they have access to knowledge from dozens of other species. The Korthaks still practice their warrior traditions, but now they fight alongside allies instead of alone. Taemin added his voice to the discussion. Commander, every species we encounter brings something valuable to our alliance. The Velkans have exceptional scanning technology and analytical minds. We could use those skills to help us explore the galaxy more effectively. What you are describing is not cooperation, Vextar said. It is assimilation. Call it what you like, Hyun-sik replied. But ask yourself this. Would you rather your people become part of something greater by choice, or would you prefer that we simply take what we need when we are ready? The ultimatum was delivered with such calm politeness that it was somehow more frightening than any direct threat. Humans were not angry conquerors driven by hate or greed. They were methodical collectors of knowledge and capability. They would take what they wanted eventually. The only question was whether the Velkans would cooperate or resist. I need time to think, Vextar said. Of course, Hyun-sik replied. But not too much time. We have other systems to explore and other species to meet. We cannot wait here indefinitely. How long? 24 hours should be sufficient. That will give you time to contact your leaders and discuss the situation with them. The communication ended, leaving the Velkan bridge in tense silence. Vextar looked around at his crew. They were all looking at him, waiting for orders that he did not know how to give. Sir, Kremoth said quietly. What do we do? Vextar studied the human ship on his view screen. It looked so ordinary from the outside, but he now knew it contained technology that could reshape reality itself, and a crew that could adapt to any threat. Most importantly, it represented a species that had been quietly taking over the galaxy for over a century. We contact the Empire, he decided. We tell them everything we have learned, and then we let our leaders decide the fate of our entire species. As the Nexus Prime prepared to send its report back to Velkan space, Vextar wondered what choice his people would make. Would they join humanity's alliance and become part of something larger than themselves? Or would they try to resist and face the consequences of standing against the most adaptive species the galaxy had ever seen? Either way, he knew that the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had revealed itself at last, and there was no going back. The age of isolated alien civilizations was ending. The age of human expansion had begun. In the depths of space, the Soul's Pride waited patiently for the Velkans to make their choice. Captain Hyun-sik and his crew had all the time in the world. After all, they had been preparing for this moment for over a century. The scanners that had once locked onto their ship had revealed far more than the Velkans had ever expected to find. They had discovered that humanity was not just another species struggling to survive in a hostile galaxy. They were the future itself, and they were offering everyone else the chance to be part of it. The only question was who would be wise enough to accept.